Hi, this is David Smith, and I have a story to tell you. I shall never forget the day on a hot Thursday evening in August of 2010 when I first went to the inner city of Durham, North Carolina with eyes peeled for somebody, anybody, who was hurting or struggling or in desperate need. There had been this unexplainable sense of urgency in my heart for weeks to go there and just make myself available to be God's hand extended to the forgotten people on the street. Well, that day I entered a world that was very different from the one to which I had always been accustomed. And since that day, I have to tell you, I've never been the same. And somebody had told me then how much my life would change and what my day-to-day activities would look like going forward. I could not have received it. See, I'd been serving as senior pastor of a wonderful, successful church for 27 years, and my time was spent leading the church and preparing sermons and preaching both there and in conferences and meetings around the world, almost every state and more than 30 nations of the earth. It was an exciting time, and I was just richly blessed with everything that God had done. But all that was about to change. The change was radical and sometimes difficult over the following weeks and months. There were many times that I thought, what am I doing here, and how do I function in this strange new world that I have discovered? But today I can honestly tell you I'm very much at home among the poorest of the poor. And I cannot tell you the joy I experience day after day and week after week when I see the lives of hopeless people transformed by the power of God's grace. These people who were so far removed from the world I lived in are now my people. They're alcoholics, they're drug addicts, they're prostitutes, they're runaway boys and girls, they're displaced families, there are legal and illegal aliens, they're the aged and the senile, they're the mentally ill, but they're my people. And I love them with everything that's in me. Some are temporarily homeless because of job loss or divorce, but for many, it's a chronic way of life, the end of which they cannot even conceive. They pick through the garbage cans for something they can use or something they can eat. They sit down to rest at a bus stop or in a train station until they're chased away. They sleep in shelters or in a nook or cranny they found in an alleyway. Some sleep in an encampment they have made with other homeless people where they put up their makeshift shelters, or if they're fortunate enough, they have their own tent. More than once I've sat on the ground in the middle of the woods to break bread with them, to cry with them, to pray with them. I'll tell you, they're my people. One of the saddest aspects of this is the shelter kids. These children are dragged from shelter to shelter or from camp to camp, and if they attend school at all, it's sporadically. You don't know what it's like to be in a permanent dwelling place or to be a part of a loving community. They see themselves as permanent members of an underclass that defines and will always define them. It's a sad story. It's a bleak picture. But the good news is God is changing the lives of many of these people by the power of the gospel. Last week on the streets of Charlotte, I met hundreds of our street friends, and we had the privilege to minister to them in many different ways and talk with them and pray with them. And then a large crowd of them gathered for our outreach event on Saturday, where we fed them a hot meal and gave them shoes and clothing and preached the gospel to them. Many came forward and prayed to receive Christ into their lives. And this is happening week after week in other cities. We comb the streets and alleys looking for those who are homeless or hurting and often hopeless. We try to meet their immediate needs as best we can. We talk with them, share with them, pray with them, and then we invite them to one of our weekly outreach events where we can give them a hot meal and try to meet their temporal needs with blankets, sleeping bags, clothes, shoes, and other life essentials. We minister to them through music and then bring a gospel message. We've seen hundreds of them come to Christ. Then we try to follow up. For example, on every Wednesday in Durham, North Carolina, in the middle of town in a park, we have a Bible study for those who have come to Christ, and also at times we give an invitation there and see them come to Christ. We started out on the first Wednesday there with 13 new believers, and now we meet with 70 or 80, sometimes 100 there in the middle of town at noon on Wednesdays. You know, somehow I think if Jesus were here on the earth in his physical form today, he would be spending much of his time with the poor, the wayward, and the disenfranchised. He did while he was here. I have every reason to believe that he would hang out with these people today. That's why I'm here. And that's why your prayers and your support are so very, very important. We've reached the place now, all the expenses involved, buying the food and buying the fuel and moving the equipment from place to place, that it's difficult. It's very difficult. In fact, we're at the point that we'll either have to catch up or cut back. And frankly, I can't stand the thought of cutting back. We want to continue to reach further and touch the lives of more and more people for Christ. So I'm asking for your prayers today. I'm asking also that you visit our website, meetmeatthebridge.com, and just have a look there and pray about ways that you can pitch in and help to make a dramatic difference in the lives of these people. A difference that will not just be long-lasting, but that will be eternal, because many of them will come to know Christ and they'll be in heaven because of the efforts that you have put forth. So check out our website, meetmeatthebridge.com, and see how you can help. Or feel free to give me a call, area code 919-210-8504. That's 210-8504. I'd love to talk with you about ways that you can help, either by volunteering if you're in one of the cities that we're ministering in, or by helping with the expense of carrying on this ministry.